Good morning. It's a daily quiz, episode 51 on ISO 45001, Occupational Safety and Management System. I'm John Newquist, your host, and it's November 26, 2025. Again, we're seeing the 45001, about 5 questions, along with a couple other ISOs, so maybe total of 5 total. On the ASP and CSP for sure. And because it's management systems, you have to know this for the CHST, SMP, and OHST also. And after I go through the 3 quizzes, I'll go a little bit more detail if you want to stick around on the ISO standard itself. During internal audit, you discover several departments are performing risk assessments using different formats and scoring methods. This inconsistency makes it difficult to compare risk across organizations. According to ISO 45001, what should the safety professional do first? They love these first type of questions. Allow departments to keep the preferred method as long as they understand their own risks. B, develop a standardized risk assessment method and integrate it into the occupational health safety management system. C, require each department to train its workers on whichever risk assessment tool they choose. D, conduct a survey to determine which risk tool employees like best. And the first one they got is standardized risk assessment and integrated. In real life, you're always going to assess the risk. So you're going to go look at these forms and try to sit there and look at what is going by talking to people, what's good about their form versus another department. Because this is one of the things that we have when we have accident investigations or job scoring and things. If people got different sheets, then it's really tough to say your 4.0 is equal to my 10 or my 100, But you'd want to assess it first. But obviously they're trying to say you've done the assessment right here, and now you're developing a form. Manufacturing facilities plans to install a new automated packaging line. Engineering wants to move forward immediately. Safety has not reviewed the design. Under ISO 45000, which action best aligns with the standard? A, approve the installation and review the safety issues after commissioning. B, ask the vendor for assurances that equipment meets CL and UL requirements. C, perform a change management review to identify new hazards and required controls. D, allow installation but require employees to sign a hazard acknowledgement form. Well, this is pretty easy. It's going to be perform management of change. ISO 45001 requires proactive identification and planning through management of change. It's one of the things that we're going to see as thousands of people get through these things. We will start to see management of change come up a little bit more. We had a module last week on management change, but we hope to get facilities look at it. You'll see it in various forms, like when we're going to go out and lift a big, huge air-conditioned chiller at a data center. We'll do a critical lift, which is really a management of change. After a serious miss involving a forklift and a pedestrian, management asks how to prevent reoccurrence. Under ISO 45000, requirement for continual improvement, what's the most appropriate next step? A, remind forklift operators to slow down and pedestrians to stay alert. B, implement a disciplinary action for anybody violating traffic rules. C, conduct an incident investigation, identify root causes, and update controls and procedures. D, increase the number of safety signs in pedestrian areas. And again, what they want is a incident investigation where you identify the root causes and update the controls and procedures, because systematic investigation should identify what's happening. And it could be operator training, it could be complacency, it could be a lot of different issues, and the corrective action. I'm a fan of putting cameras, so we can always back up the cameras. We can watch remotely, watch people work and say, yeah, everybody's doing it right today. What is the ISO 5000? So if you want to just do the quiz, we'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to talk a little bit about ISO 45000. It's a global standard. This test is going global. They're trying to get away from OSHA-specific numbers, like how high does the X-bracing have to be on a scaffold. They want to go into this whole concept. The ASP, American Society of Safety Professionals, has worked with ISO. It's going with the world kind of agreeing what is a good safety management system, which is nice, because if you're an international company like ExxonMobil or Caterpillar, you can use these systems worldwide. And you might have to train other places on your system, but anybody who's a safety professional from India, the Middle East, Vietnam, Ghana, they will know this system because they are taking a test that explains this concept. So when they get to a facility and they talk about plan, do, check, and act as the basis of it, they understand it. That's why this is going to be a big deal, because as the world safety organizations have a common safety management system, it's going to flow a lot better because people will start to do it, and it works. You know, it's been around for 50 years in some form or another as safety management. You have to know your other two ISOs, ISO 9001 quality, ISO 14001 is environmental. You have to know it integrates with it because this whole idea revolves under, the same concepts. Again, the core principles: we identify the hazards and risks, and then we continuously, proactively, and have workers' input to these risks. We have management commitment and worker participation. Both these standards, either ANSI or ISO, want people to have worker involvement, and it works because they go through. I've been doing it a long time. Everybody's got different times. I don't know it the best. I always like to run it by the workers and see if there's anything I forget, because sometimes there's a reason why people don't do it a certain way, and that's good. But if you all agree that this is the way to do it, from management to workers to safety, then we've got production, quality, environmental, and everything is most efficient, and that's hopefully we'll go through. We integrate our processes so that we have procedures for everything we buy, and we know what the rules are, and then you're involved in the procurement, and then of course management of change will be as part of bringing a new piece of equipment in. Prevention through a design, eliminate the hazard before work. I mean, I sat down there 30 years ago with power construction at the Kalos job. We went through every stage of construction. It was revolutionary back then. And we talked about what are we going to do for roofing, steel erection, concrete shoring, and everything else. You can do this because it's routine, repetitive processes in construction. So if you can talk about what you're going to do, then we can say what is it you're going to do for risks and how you're going to handle this. And that's important. Again, we're going to learn from our data. We're going to measure it. We're going to do audits. Hopefully these are always good, and then any kind of near misses that we might have. And the structure of the standard is 4 different areas. I'm not unlike ANSI. I went through each of them. Here, if you've taken the previous module, you can go through it. But again, worker participation and leadership by example, as I call it. You're going to do the risk assessments and plan, and provide the adequate resources and people to do the training and assessment and take a look at these processes. And then the operations people will make sure the hazard controls, work with contractors, emergency planning, and make sure change management procedures are in place. And then, of course, we do periodic checks and monitoring. Again, every month, every employee. It's not that hard. You don't have to sit there and do a formal analysis and write it. You can, but a lot of times these are audits where you just write down who you did and you have already what the goal was. We were going to look at the seatbelts today. You don't have to spend a lot of time. It's either pass or fail. Or did the worker wear all the PPE that we require at the job site? Yeah. Are all the machines guarded? Yes. Are all the fall protection guardrails up today? Yes. These are simple things you can do. And again, we improve things that we are out there. If we're finding down there's a guardrail taken down every day by elevator, we can put a camera there. We want to find out who's doing it. We're going to have a meeting with the contractor and say, listen, we shouldn't see this because somebody could just back up and go down 2 stories. That's not safe. And well, we're trying to bring stuff up and we got to take it down. All right, let's talk about maybe we have to have somebody bring it up for you. Can we bring it up by list instead of you trying to mess with the guardrails and stuff? Again, you can do it in construction, pre-task planning, job hazard analysis. If you go through this and you've done this enough times, you say, okay, we're going to have a hole that's going to be in our big data center, and we're going to go in there and, it's going to be underground cables and everything else. What are we going to do for the hole? Well, we're going to put guardrails around it. You could cover it, but you could plan this out. You should not be surprised when you see the guardrails up there because this has already been discussed in the pre-task planning. You know who is going to do this. And then observations, make sure everything else is good at the site. And management change. When you're going to bring in something, put it on the roof or a big chiller and use a crane, you got to sit there and have people look at the capacity of the ground, the capacity of the crane, and think, can we do this? Because You know, like a lot of times in these data centers, you got the NVIDIA refrigerator, as I call it, cabinet full of $1 million chips. You drop it. You can't call NVIDIA and say, hey, I just dropped $1 million worth of chips. Let me see some more. They're saying we're sold out for 2025. You know, that's what you have on some of the data centers. They can't afford to lose the chips to, well, we didn't figure the rigging right. It was off balance and it fell. No, we're not going to have that because the stakes are too high. Emergency planning. We could have fire. We got to think about what are we going to do if we have fire in the pit, you know, because somebody threw trash in there. Why does it matter? Because it works. You know, this is through 50 years of companies working on it. It's probably longer than that, but you know, like I said, I've seen it. You know, people drop the incidents quite a bit. People know the processes. It's just standardizing all the procedures and stuff. And I've watched companies in hazardous industries like construction go millions of hours without any kind of issues, which is good. I mean, every audit is good. You know, I'm tough. If I go to a new place and I've never been there, I'm going to find 10 programmatic items and 10 physical hazards on average. So if I can come out next month and it's good, then that's really, you know, showing that you know the processes and stuff. And we got clean roles. We know what people are going to do and everything else. And how can we get better? We're going to go to the helmet. You know, do we need to wear face shields? Are you going to wear safety shoes? Cut-resistant gloves, what? Impact-resistant gloves. All these things are things that you continuously improve based on data. And hopefully you can change it before you have to have a loss. Gap assessment, you can do a couple different ones. One can just sit there and say, this is our current safety standards, this is what we want to do. You know, I mean, you know, it might be as simple as we're not filling out the confined space, or that's our gap right now. We want to be able to fill it out. So at the end of the year, we can say for the months of September through December, we did 100% of the confined space permits signed. We had the training. We gave the workers everything they need to do. We bought the meters. But this is, you know, things you can do. All right. Any questions? Just put them in the comments and I'll answer them. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.